have like the best food. Don't go to Santa Rosa. Don't go to Lifer. Theirs are great. I don't know who else has one. Yes, there's just Dr. I don't know if he's still there. Mr. Roach. Things under control. They even had like the graduation, like the real graduation, and then they would have for the other kids like 90s later, 70 for credits. Yeah, I just pressed the play button. I think he's watching. Go check. Just to be sure.
What I like to do is I like to put today's date on it, so that way there's no question. Today is 01/23/2019. Is it is it a regular board meeting or is it a special Norfolk case? Okay, so you know how to get it started, right? This one to record, this the round one.
Oh.
And then so let's just start it right now. So hit record, right? And then when you're done, hit it again. It'll stop recording.
What about when I'm pausing?
Same thing. You hit record, and right there it's recording. Yeah. If you're really concerned, just hit the stop button. Okay. Stop button. Yeah. You know what? It's better that way. So it's record, and then stop. That's it. Come back when executive, record the round one, and stop. That's it. And when you're done, make sure you save it.
Call the meeting to order. Today, January 23rd, 2019. It is 6:45. I call this special meeting of the Escazú Independent School District to order. Roll call.
Board President Robert Smartry. Board Vice President Chris Morales.
Here.
Board Secretary Robert Peacock. Here. Board Trustee Fernando Torres Jr.
Present.
Board Trustee Juan J. Ibarra.
Here.
Board Trustee Tony Barco.
Here.
Board Trustee Rolando Lozano.
Here.
Vice President, we have a quorum.
Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present. That this meeting has duly called and that the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, it didn't.
Can you remain standing? Ms. Rocha, will you lead us in the...
Yes, of course. You can bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to come together as a family to serve those that your greatest love, and that's our children. Tonight, Heavenly Father, we ask a very special blessing for all the children that are here, Heavenly Father, and their parents. And we especially ask that you bless our Board of Trustees, being that this is School Board Appreciation. We ask you that you guide them as they make the decisions, along with our Superintendent, Mr. Cavazos. Heavenly Father, we just continue to give you all the praise and glory for all the blessings you place upon our district. And we ask all of this in Jesus' name, and we say, Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we have item number 3, presentation and discussion. Item A, we have the purpose of this public hearing is to present the optional flexible school day application. Presenter, Ms. Carmen Garcia.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Cavazos. We are here for the required public hearing for the optional flexible school day program application. We will be presenting it today, and then we will be presenting it, if it's approved, in the summer, to give you an update of how we did with the program. The purpose of the application is to allow school districts and charter schools to claim average daily attendance for students who attend a flexible school day. For example, if students can only attend 1 hour, we're able to claim credit for that 1 hour instead of the half day like we currently do. So kids that are married or work and cannot come to school all day will be able to come, and we'll get credit for it. As far as attendance, a student attending an optional flexible school day under Texas Education Code 29.0822 may be counted in attendance for purposes of funding under Texas Education Code Chapters 41, 42, and 46 only for the actual number of contact hours the student receives, not to exceed 720 hours or 43,200 minutes per 12-month period. Students enrolled in the traditional program for part of the year and the optional flexible school day program for part of the year may not earn more than 1 ADA. So we can't double dip. The optional flexible school day program is a program authorized under the Texas Education Code 29.0822 and the Administrative Code 129.1027 that school districts or open enrollment charter schools may offer to provide flexible hours and days of attendance for students in any grade who meet one of the following criteria. The student must be at risk of dropping out of school, was denied credit and needs that opportunity to make up those hours, is attending a campus with an approved early college high school program, is attending a campus implementing an approved innovative campus plan, or the student is attending a community-based dropout recovery education program. If the child is less than 18 years of age and is not emancipated by marriage, they do need to have their parents' permission in writing in order to participate in the program. The definition of the program provisions. The student must take the required state assessment specified under the Texas Education Code 39.023 during the regularly scheduled assessment calendar. So if they're taking a course that requires an EOC, they do need to take that assessment. Students are also allowed to participate in UIL if they meet all of the requirements or all of the eligibility criteria for UIL. It is required that we do hold a public hearing. The Board of Trustees of the school district or governing board of an open enrollment charter school must hold a public hearing concerning the proposed application for the optional flexible school day before applying to operate. So we need to have your approval before we can go forward. In addition, the Board of Trustees of a school district or governing board of an open enrollment charter school must hold a public hearing annually to review. So if you do approve it, then I will be giving you an update in July as far as how many students participated, how many students earned credit, and how many students were able to graduate. The applications for the program have to be approved on a yearly basis. So if it is approved and we want to continue it next year, then I will have to present again with a public hearing and the update for you. Continuation of approval for the optional flexible school day will be contingent on the demonstrated success of the program. Determination of success will include a review and analysis of data provided in the mandatory final progress report. So we do have to keep track of all the students that are using the program and how many hours they've accumulated. The Commissioner of Education may revoke authorization for participation after consideration of relevant factors. So this includes the performance of the students participating in the program, the percentage of students participating in the program who graduate from high school, and other criteria agreed on in the application adopted by the Commissioner of Education. If for some reason the Commissioner revokes the application, then that decision is final and may not be appealed. So we do have to show gains. Reporting requirements. Following approval of the application, the applicant may be required to submit progress reports based on criteria selected and agreed to by the Commissioner. When requested, reports will require applicants to disclose the overall progress of the students in the program, the number of students enrolled in the program, the number of students graduating from high school, and any additional criteria that the Commissioner wants. TA will provide notice to applicants and additional instructions for completion of reports at least 45 days before the date the report is due, or as soon as possible. TA may request additional reports as necessary to monitor and assess progress of students participating in the program. The recommendation will be for the approval of the optional flexible school day program to be used at Edcal Chelsea High School and at the Edcal Chelsea High School Academy program. The optional flexible school day program would provide at-risk students the opportunity to attend school on a flexible schedule, less than 4 hours per day, and would allow the district to receive average daily attendance funds for the hours they attend, up to 720 hours per student. Any questions?
Well, my only question is, are any of our neighboring districts doing this already, and how successful have they been? I mean, have we made any contact with them?
Most of the districts that have an options program usually offer this.
Okay.
Actually, it's very common in most districts. They give the students that opportunity to work
on earning credit anytime during the day. The advantage of going with optional flexible school day is that we gain the funding from that contact time. It doesn't have to be during the regular day. It could be outside the
Could
regular
be
day.
after hours, could be on Saturdays, summer.
Oh, okay.
My question would be, is how do we get credit for ADA?
We have to document, we have to have, keep attendance very carefully and make sure that we
I know,
document.
but they're not going to physically be coming to school or campus, are they?
Yes, some of them will be coming to school. That's why we have it for the options and for the Ed Calchosa High School. For example, after-school program, Saturday, whenever, a lot of times these students are married and work and can only come, let's say, for an hour after school. At least they'll get credit and they'll be able to recover some of their credits.
I guess my concern would be that if we have students who are not performing in their classrooms, and I know that as they get into the higher grade levels, they start thinking of, I don't really want to be in school, and they see this as kind of like a way out. Are we going to have any type of criteria for our teachers to make sure that we keep our students? Because I'm just concerned that, our students are going to see that this is a faster way of getting credits, so they'll stop coming to a class just so that they can qualify for this and get a 2-hour, 3-hour credit instead of having to stay here for the whole semester that they would have to be in school.
Well, they have to, first of all, they have to qualify under one of the criteria.
Yes, and one of them was at physical or being absent. And it's easy to do, as a student, just come from school and I can qualify for that. My thing is, I want to make sure that we're not giving them a little, look, this is an
Little
adoption.
carrot.
Yes.
Well, let me just add real quickly, just so we can clarify, is that the students are already going through that program already. It's just that the district isn't taking advantage of the funding.
Okay.
And it just gives us that opportunity to gain the funding from their attendance.
And some of those
outside
kids
the
that
regular
dropped out,
Yeah,
it also gives us an opportunity to bring them back.
If we're going to be helping students who are out of the district and we want to bring them back, that's good. But I don't want to send the wrong message to existing students who are still in school and have the opportunity of completing all their courses. To me, I'm not a firm believer that you sit in front of a computer and you can learn a subject or get a credit and be as fulfilling as sitting with a teacher. I want to make sure that we have something. I don't know if the guidelines are already set by the state, or if these are some guidelines that we can actually adjust.
We can have our own guidelines if you want to make it a little bit stricter, but this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be in front of a computer, because we do have after-school programs where it's actually a teacher that's teaching.
But this isn't changing our options program.
No,
correct? I mean,
no.
all it's doing is,
No, it's just going to allow us to
some
bring in
funding
those
out of it.
kids that
I mean, 'cause
can't come
there's
half a day.
I mean, we still have that option. I mean, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, if kids wanted to get a fast track out of high school, they'd follow under one of these criteria and they'd jump into the options. Now we're actually just getting paid for it. That's what I'm understanding. I'm
Yes,
trying to make
we're
sure.
getting
Exactly.
credit
Okay.
even if they only come for 1
Yeah,
hour.
so that's what, it's not changing anything.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
right
now
now,
we're
if they
getting
only
paid
come for 1 hour, we don't get any AD.
for it. Correct.
The cutoff age for this program, is it the same as the options program?
It's the same one as the state has, which is 26 is the cutoff for students
It's like
being able to come to school. So those students would
So when you say
definitely
that
be
they
coming
can come
to,
in, they go in where, to the high school?
To the option.
depending on the age. If they're older, then we're probably going to recommend that they go to the options campus, not to the main campus.
Where
Or
is
an
the
after-
options campus at currently?
It's over here at we used to be the Mercado.
Oh, at the Mercado.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not changing any of it. It's
No.
not, we're just getting paid for it.
We're just getting paid. That's the main purpose, to get that ADA.
It's just.
But I thought there was, as long as we're not going to get affected to ADA and our students are registered and they're in the program and decide not to come, will that kind of get us?
If they just,
If they just don't show up? We sign them up, they're supposed to just come for 1 hour, but
no, they're just, we just get it for the time that they come in. So we're going to have to work with them on their schedule. That's why I say some kids are married or work and they can only come like once a day or several times a week. So we'll have to come up. That's why it's a flexible school day for them.
Do you have any concerns, Ms. Garcia?
No, we used it in the previous district I was at, and it did help some of those kids that dropped out of school. and had no other option. They could not be there for half a day. So it gave them an opportunity to come back to school and get their credits. It's probably going to start low, especially since we're barely, if you approve it, it would barely start now. So we may not have too many take part of it, but for sure, if everything goes well, then I would like to bring it back in July to offer it for next year, for the full year.
This would be a good trial run.
Yes. We'll see what the participation is for this semester.
So we'll get to look at this again in July?
Yes, I'll give you an update, because before we can even apply for next year, I need to give you all an update as far as how we did. If you all see that it wasn't really helping us or helping the students, then we don't need to bring it forward.
If I read it correctly, we're going to have to approve this every year. Every
Yes,
school year, correct?
and we're going to have to give you an update every year.
Correct. So if it doesn't work out, then yeah. Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Garcia?
I would say maybe give us a monthly update.
Okay.
Yeah, for the first, until July.
We can give you a monthly update.
Just give us a monthly update.
The status.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Garcia. Excuse me, board, for my tardiness. I had a prior engagement. But we'll move on to adjournment.
No, Mr. Board President, we have to give the public an opportunity to make.
Oh, we haven't done that yet?
No.
Okay, excuse me. All right, well, this will be open for discussion to the public. Not to the board has already asked their questions. It'll be open up to anybody in case they have any questions, comments, or concerns based on the flexible school day application.
All right, we can close it.
All right, thank you. Next item will be adjournment. Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Torres, second by Mr. Lozano. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The time is 7:01 p.m. Are we going straight into? Yeah, no, I am. All right. Good evening, everybody. A special board meeting of the Board of Trustees of Ed Calchas ISD will be held on January 23rd, 2019, beginning at 7:01 p.m. at the Administration Board meeting. This meeting is now called to order. Can I have a roll call, Mr. Peacock?
Board President Robert Smotrich.
Present.
Board Vice President Chris Morales.
Here.
Board Secretary Robert Peacock. Here. Board Trustee Fernando Torres.
Here.
Board Trustee Juan J. Ibarra.
Here.
Board Trustee Tony Barco.
Here.
Board Trustee Rolando Lozano.
Here.
Board President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. If we can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Torres, can you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We did the invocation? Ms. Rocha, can you lead us in the invocation? I wasn't here in the last one, sorry. I need to get blessed.
Heavenly Father, once again, we just thank you for the blessings you continue to shower us with. Heavenly Father, we just ask that you always guide our board members, Mr. Carlos, our superintendent, as they make difficult decisions and critical decisions. You guide them, you bless them and their family, and you bless everybody that's present here, especially our children and their parents. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Rocha. It doesn't hurt to have a second blessing, right? It doesn't hurt to have a second blessing, right? Okay, item 3, comments from public. Do we have anybody signed up? No. No, Ms. Gonzalez? Okay, thank you. Next item we have is recognitions. We'll start.
Let's do the kids, no? We're going to start with C. Okay.
This is for, in honor of your
old school uniform.
Throwbacks.
Throwback. Oh, they are wearing the throwback.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
members of the board, those in the audience, just real quickly wanted to recognize our school board trustees, our members of the board. This January, as you know, is School Board Member Appreciation Month, and as part of that, the Mariachi has asked to come and to play for the board in recognition of all the hard work that they do and all the dedication they provide to our students and to the community. Mr. Garcia, thank you.
That's fine, we're good.
No, we're fine.
Huge docket, man. Like 40, 2 hours of court.
About half of them, because we have a lot of kids that couldn't make it last minute, so we apologize for the lack of voice and the lack of those are sick, but we bring you a lot of heart today, and what we do is because of what you do. So thank you for everything that you've done for the program and for the district. We can't thank you enough. We're very proud to announce that this year we took last year the state title, and then we went in November to the national title. So right now we're practically untouchable with the money. We'll try our best to go and repeat and bring home the second title for the state title in February and January. So look up February 8th and 9th. We'll be over there showcasing our brand new show. So we'll play this one little mix of songs for you guys. It's a medley of musical songs that won't require singing and voices, but it's called our Lone Star Medley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good jam.
I like this one.
The Lone Star Medley.
This one they had it there. Dallas, or where were we? Austin? No, San Antonio. San Antonio.
Bits and pieces.
Vamos para la casa. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Garcia,
For the national?
how you doing?
Yeah, going up there for the national.
No.
National.
To go to NASBA with us. Yeah.
Oh, y'all went old school? Y'all throwbacks? Good job. Thank you.
Keep the game going. Great
Yeah,
work.
good job.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I like that ring. Yeah, the Ed County state championship ring on there. Shouldn't we get them like jackets or something for nationals, for winning nationals? We need to beat them, right? Thank you, Mariachi. It's always great to hear y'all come and play or see y'all on Facebook when your parents and everybody goes live. I love to stop and watch and put my comments out there. It's always a pleasure. Next we have Student Council Officers Recognition. Ms. Rocha, I'm gonna go ahead and move that one up.
Okay, great. Well,
We can have the kids get recognized.
we can come down, but
Yeah.
before we do, I do want to say that they were very excited, first of all, when they got here, the students were very excited. And I just want to say to our students that you have different roles, and you can see the president, this is what he does, right? And then the vice president, did you see what the vice president had to do? And then the secretary, and then our board of trustees. So one day, they were one day where you are. One day, you're going to be up here, making the best decisions for students like they are right now. So, before, when we finish doing it, maybe the presidents can get a picture with the president, vice president, and then the other body.
Okay.
It's truly an honor to have our students and our parents here, so you can see the amazing work that our board does, our superintendent, and everything that they do is always based on one very important issue. How's it going to help our kids? So we thank you, we salute, and we honor our students. So we're going to now come down and we can recognize our students. Members, if you all help us give out a pen to each of the students. Therefore, they can always remember.
You have a new?
And for the sponsors, we have another pen. Okay, Jesse?
So we have our student council members. Some are not able to be here due to CCP. We have CCP, but you have our president, Mr. Victor Ramirez, and our ex-president, Ms. Solomon Franklin, for being here. And I encourage you to enroll in the campus to help us with different activities, with community activities. So we want to thank them and their parents, of course, for being here. And of course, this is the recognition. So thank you very much.
Okay, the next campus to come up, we call on John F. Kennedy. Yes, we have our the future right here. We have our president, Adrian Salinas. Vice President Mike Torres, Jr. Cecilia Ramos, our secretary. Torres, our treasurer.
Yes, he
like to do. We're going to visit with you about partnering with early childhood Big Brothers Big Sisters. We'll talk about that later. Coming from our president today, but we have amazing students that give all from their heart, and they just help. They help the community, they help our school, they help our students, and I'm very proud of them. We have our secretary, John Micah Garcia. Our treasurer, Ms. Melody Soto. Our vice president, Delilah Cardosa. Our president, Danica Nieves. Next, we're going to call LBJ Esquimas and Silva.
We're really proud of our students, and we tell them that they're our role models. And we tell them that's a big responsibility because all the students at LBJ look up to you. So as a leader that they were voted by their campus students, we tell them, please be the role model that the campus selected you. So we instill those qualities in them every single day. Be role models because you are our leaders for our future. And pretty soon, they're going to replace us. So we tell them how to do that and those qualities to get better and better every single day. So we're going to start with our president, and our president right there looking mighty, mighty good. And then it's Gabriel Guzman. And our next one is our vice president, and then Ethan Silva. And our next student is our secretary, and she is Kayla Garcia. And she is our treasurer, and she is Katie Borrego.
Nicole Sanchez, 8th grade, vice
I just want to thank you all for giving recognition to these students. It requires in high school a lot of courage and dedication to the job. Everyday events can be stressful, however very fun at the same time. But these types of students are the ones that keep our school functioning very well. So I'll let them introduce themselves, say your name and position, and anything else you'd like to add.
I'm Neely Barra, and I'm the student council president at our high school.
I'm Michael Flores, and I'm the sophomore class president.
Okay, so I'd like to say a couple of words for you guys. I want to share my experience being in student council my 4 years of high school. So I've learned a lot of leadership skills in being in student council, and I've had a lot of communication skills. So being my major, I want to go into criminal justice and political science around those areas, and I would like to be in student council has helped me have good experiences communicating with others and talking to others. So I recommend it to little kids that are in keep doing what you're doing. Honestly, most of you guys probably don't know me, but I'm super proud of you guys for doing what you do and having the courage to do what you do.
1, 2, and wait. I got it.
You want one right now? We'll take it right now. Yeah, let's take it right now. Hey, guys, quick picture with Nate real quick. That way you don't, that way you
Payments, just in case they ask. Was Mr. Longoria going to present? Is he here?
He's leaving town, yeah. He's leaving town. He's
That was how you got it.
So we're going to move him up after all this right here. We're gonna move him after the recognition.
Thank you.
got all the elementaries are there. Y Dr. Lee, Tata George.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of...
We'll do the presentation for we need to do the audit presentation. No. What's the board presentation? Because we need to do the.
I guess you get up. Everybody got that one.
We'll do the. Let's get this out of the way. Right.
Excuse me.
Oh, the attendance. Student body something.
And that's board
But you want to jump to that one for the financial audit?
No, we can wait.
Capacity. 6th grade, put it down.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, we're going to move on to, let's see, item A. No, let's do the attendance. Item D, elementary, secondary, best attendance for first semester.
We're gonna, this time we decided we're gonna do the first semester. We did do second, 6 weeks. So we took an average of all the first semester, the attendance, and we're gonna honor those right now. So for LBJ, best attendance for the elementary is LBJ Elementary.
Can we give the kids something like a party?
Yeah, why not?
Can we give them more?
I know Ms. Lima's going to give more movies.
Tang.
Tang.
Kids don't drink Tang?
You know, with that being said, Mr. Cavazos, is there an incentive that we could? The trophy's great. I'm big on trophies, but you know, maybe like I don't know. Do they still do pizza parties and stuff like that? I don't. Can we? Yeah. Can we go retro on everybody else that got it before, and then work our way to?
We had talked about giving a monetary award to the campuses through the general fund. It's something small, but something that they can use to buy, general activities, funds.
That'll work. Cobain.
And for the secondary, I want to say that, and I want to say both secondary
Wow. Wow.
Grew up junior high in 94, so.
Oh. Mingo's here to present. Here to present? Tomorrow. Oh. He wants to say a few words.
Well, we can do it either way. Let me go ahead and let him introduce the item, and I'll make the announcement and proclamation, and then we'll take photos.
Okay, that was attendance. Next item will be A, approved proclamation of School Board Recognition Month, January 2019.
Mr. President, very briefly, I wanted to just read the proclamation that we're approving tonight. Again, like I mentioned, January is School Board Member Appreciation Month, and on behalf of the community, the faculty, the students, we want to thank you all for everything that you do for EdCalChelsea students and their parents and the community. So real quickly, I'd like to read the proclamation. Mrs. Rocha has some plaques there for you that have this document on a plaque, and we'll give those to you shortly. It says, whereas the mission of the public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society and an ever-changing world, and whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child, and whereas the local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students, and whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system, and whereas the local school board members are strong advocates for public education, are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now therefore, I, Ronaldo Cavazos, and EdCalChelsea ISD, do hereby declare my appreciation to the members of the EdCalChelsea ISD School Board and proclaim the month of January 2019 as School Board Recognition Month in EdCalChelsea ISD. And this is on behalf, again, from TASB, Texas Association of School Boards. We want to thank you for all your work and hard work and dedication to our students, our parents, and the community members here in EdCalChelsea and ELSA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item B, School Board Recognition. I don't know about that one. She wanted me to come and get at it.
So here's a plaque. That's the proclamation is on the plaque, and this one is from Mr. Robert Small.
I always believe that whatever we get, we pass, it's a legacy that we leave our children. I know that the words I have gotten my children, like that one's mine, that one's mine. So it means a lot. And this is, to me, like I say, black and gold is the best color there, combination of colors. And this one, I'm just going to, they're all the same, but I'm going to read the first one, then you read this one. And this one I picked up is honoring Tony Barco, and it's got the best logo ever. It comes as a Rotary Educated Graduate. In appreciation for your dedicated leadership in public education, your commitment, dedication, and service to EdCo Chelsea students, staff, and community. School Board Recognition Month, planting the seeds of success. January 23rd, 2019. Behind you, there's a bag that is from all of us in the school district, all of the students, the staff, the administration. Just a little bit of token of appreciation for you all. One of the items that's in there is a clock. It's a beautiful clock, and it's got EISD Board of Trustees and your name, and get a little bit sentimental. A clock is time, and I think you do a lot of great things for our district. You give yourself. A lot of times, the time that you're supposed to do is your family. You are hoping our district becomes a great school district. So when you look at it, remember that you're giving the best gift of yourself, to give up time to EdCo Society and the students and all the staff, and we all appreciate you. And each of you will get one like this in the back. So this is from everybody. And the other thing that we have our we cannot let you know who adopted you all, and they have already placed in front of you a gift card for you all. But we want to just recognize our principals and all the staff for doing a lot of great things for you all. Gutierrez Early Childhood. Chris, you want to say you want to say the name, Chris?
Oh yes, Mr. Chris Morales. We had breakfast the other day. We enjoyed your visit to our campus, and thank you so much for all you do for our little ones. Like we said there, you plant the seeds of greatness for our little ones with your 2 hands. So
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Gutierrez Early Childhood. Garcia Elementary.
I'd like to thank Mr. Rolando Lozano. We haven't had the pleasure of having him on the campus yet, but he'll be there on Friday. Mr. Lozano, thank you so much for planting the seeds of success at the EID, and of course to all our board members for giving up the time and for all that you will do. Thank you very much.
Again, Mr. Barco, on behalf of John and Kennedy, we do want to thank you for always making great decisions for our students. Without all of your support, you would not be here. Again, we want to thank you, and we will be meeting hopefully soon so that we can make arrangements and you with our students, especially our
with our mariachi. Mr. Peacock, thank you so much for joining us. I know that our student council officers also presented to him, and they also presented him with a canvas, a painting of a tree that said, planting the seeds of success. And each of the branch had a thumbprint by our students that depicted our student council officers and the student council members depicting the success that FHSI has brought to our students and our families and so forth. So thank you all, not only Mr. Peacock, but the rest of you as well.
Thank you. And High School, Mr. Gutierrez.
Well, thank you so much. Amazing things continue to happen. We've been honoring our member all week. As a matter of fact, he's already requested to be on the agenda for next year. Thank you so much.
I just, I don't want to go into details, but I feel very appreciated.
Mr. Torres, on behalf of everyone at RCR Elementary, we look forward to recognizing you the rest of the school year.
You owe me too.
They voted, Rob.
Yeah, right. We'll have some exchange of words later.
Yeah. Thank democracy.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Rocha and Mr. Cavazos, and to all the principals and everybody, staff, administration here, what you've done for us as well. We're very thankful. And one thing we constantly talk about, and I know how each campus talks about their goals, and they set them and they try to reach them every year. Us up here, one of our goals that we constantly talk about is becoming School Board of the Year for Region 1. And we're trying to get everything we have to do to get there. And that's kind of brings the best out of us, you know, to make sure we check off all those lists that we have to do, those items. So I just want to thank everybody here on behalf of myself for, I see the time y'all do, that y'all put in, so just want to say thank you as well. Okay, moving on to, let's see, we did all the recognitions. Mm-hmm. All right, let the record reflect that I am moving item E from Superintendent Report up to item A, and that'll be presentation of financial audit report ending August 31st, 2018. And I don't have here who the presenter is.
Mr. Rick Longoria with Burton McCumber. Mr. Longoria is here to present our 2018 financial audit report I did leave a copy of the packet in front of you if you all want to look at that. That's the spiral-bound packet. That's the item that Mr. Longoria is going to be covering with us today.
Good evening, members of the board. Mr. Superintendent, again, my name for the record is Ricky Longoria. I'm a partner with Burton McCumber and Longoria, and we had the honor to work with your staff and your administration in order to complete the audit of y'all's financial statements for the year ended August 31st, 2018. Before I get started, I do want to make a couple of side comments, if I may. As a colleague of you all, I just want to thank you all for y'all's service. I certainly understand and appreciate the fact that being a board member is certainly a labor of love, not only of kids of your community, but the total community as a whole. And so I want to certainly thank you all for y'all's service as well. And I would also be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the fantastic mariachi you all have, an envy of a lot of school districts, not just within Region 1, but certainly throughout the state. I've had the opportunity to hear them in other events, and they're just fantastic, and certainly something this community should be very proud of. So I just certainly wanted to start with that. Again, I am here to present the audit report. The report itself and the attachments, as you know, are about 100 pages. And I know, in the interest of time, we do not have time to go over 100 pages of documents. But certainly what I do want to present to you, certainly from the perspective as an auditor and also as a school board member, some of the big things that I think that you should be aware of with respect to the audit. And to the extent that maybe at a subsequent meeting, maybe through a committee structure or whatnot, if you all would like to have a much more in-depth review of some of the information that's in there, certainly feel free to give us a call, and we will certainly spend the time to do that. Okay? There is one housekeeping item that I do need to start with first. Again, what you should have before you, of course, is a bound report, and that's easy. But you should also have with you 2 separate letters. And where I'm going to start is the letter that there's one letter that has our signature on it. I'm going to start with the other letter. And also want to acknowledge the fact that Luis Lopez is here with me. He's a CPA, certified fraud examiner, audit manager within the firm, and he was a person that was on hand, on site, working with your staff in an effort to try to get this audit report out. So I just want to acknowledge his presence as well. This letter that I need to start with, I'm not going to read the letter. I'm just going to speak to the letter. Is a required communication from the independent auditor to their client, in this case, you as the school board of Edcouch-Elsa ISD. And I'm just going to speak to the bullet points that are being addressed. One is to acknowledge the standards for which the audit was actually conducted, acknowledging the fact that the audit was conducted under government auditing standards and also under uniform guidance as it relates to single audit. This year, the school district received an excess of $10 million worth of federal funding, and as such exceeds the $750,000 threshold for single audit, and therefore it was subject to those particular standards. Going on to the second part, it says significant audit matters, acknowledging the fact that there is a new accounting standard that had to be implemented within your financial statements. It's called GASB 75. I'm going to try my best when I get to that point to explain to you all what it is without speaking too much like an accountant. And so I'll try my best in trying to explain that to all of you all. Also recognizing the fact that the audit process is not exact. Recognizing the fact that certainly as auditors, there's a misconception about what we do during the course of an audit. Some people think that we go and review every single transaction within an organization, and that is not what we do. Our objective is to express an overall opinion on the financial statement based upon sampling and tests and things of that nature. So just acknowledging the fact that it's not an audit of every single little transaction that was entered into by the organization, and also acknowledging the fact that certainly in an audit everything has to balance out, debits have to equal credits, but at the end of the day there are some estimates in y'all's financial statements. For example, fixed assets, depreciation, that is somebody's best estimate as to how long that building is going to last or how long that stadium is going to last, and so that is an estimate. Another estimate would be y'all's allowance for taxes receivable. Right now, y'all's allowance for taxes receivable, for uncollected taxes, should I say, is based upon a 10-year average. That's somebody's best estimate, best guess as to what that number may be. But the reality could change. And so I just want you to understand that it's not an exact science. I also want to acknowledge that we had no difficulties encountered during the course of the audit. We found your staff and administration to be very helpful throughout the audit process, and especially the fact that this was a transition in auditors. You had a previous auditor in last year, and so we had that challenge as well, but I think collectively we worked through it and are able to be here today in order to be able to make a timely submission to TA with respect to you all's financial statements. Turning to the next page, just speaks to the fact that corrected and uncorrected mistakes. There were some audit adjustments that were posted, primarily generated by you all's staff as we went through the audit. There were some things that needed to be adjusted, and they provided those adjustments, and those adjustments are included as an attachment to this particular letter as well. Also acknowledging the fact that there were no disagreements with management. Certainly during an audit, there are times when you may have different opinions about certain things, different perspectives about certain things, but that doesn't mean that there's an adversarial disagreement between both parties, and acknowledging that was not the case. Acknowledging that we did obtain a representation letter from management. At the end of the day, these are your financial statements. These are management's financial statements, and our responsibility is just to express an opinion on them. Acknowledging that, to our knowledge, there was no consultation with other independent auditors or consultants to maybe come up with a different conclusion with respect to an accounting issue. That was not the case. And then going to the other matters, acknowledging that certainly within the audit report, you will see what's called required supplementary information, which is exactly that, required supplementary information for which accounting standards require, but also acknowledging that there is what's considered supplementary information, and the schedule to include the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, and determining whether we express an opinion on those areas or not. And so that's a quick, and if I'm going too fast, please slow me down. But that's a quick overview of that particular letter. Okay? Any questions on that part? If not, I'm going to hold this. I'm going to hold the second letter for the end, and I'm going to jump right into the financial statements. Okay? And if y'all want to follow along or just listen, whichever's easiest for you all. And if I'm moving too fast, please ask me to slow down. If you turn to page 1, and it has page 1 at the bottom, and it's going to be several pages in, but it's the first page that looks like this. It has our letterhead on it. We're in the bound. We're in the bound now.
Oh, in the bound.
In the bound, yes, sir.
Sorry.
One.
All right. Ready.
Page 1 is basically our overall report on the financial statements that are being presented. I'm not going to read every single paragraph that's in there. So I'll just cut to the bottom line. Like I had a board member tell me, just cut to the bottom line. I'm going to cut to the bottom line. And if you turn over to page 2 on the back side of page 1, you'll see the first paragraph that says opinions. And again, it is our opinion for which we've been engaged to present. And so that paragraph I am going to read. It says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the Ed Couch Elsa Independent School District as of August 31st, 2018, and the respective changes in financial position and, where applicable, cash flows thereof for the year then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. I read that particular opinion, that particular paragraph out loud because that is what's commonly known as the clean opinion. It is the unmodified opinion, consistent with the unmodified opinion with respect to the financial statements that you have received in the past. Okay? So if somebody was to ask you, well, what was opinion? It was unmodified. It was a clean opinion with respect to the financial statements. Okay? Now I'm going to skip over to page 17. And again, here's where I'm going to try not to speak like an accountant. I'm trying my best. As board members, the focus is typically fund balance in your general fund. You know, you want to know what the balance is going to be periodically, so you can manage the overall finances of the district. But the accounting standards require you to not only to present a fund statement, and we're going to get to that statement in a second, but also convert those fund statements to what's called a government-wide. And the essence of that is, hey, third parties want to know that what would this entity look like if we did our best to try to convert those finance statements to say what a business may look like. So on fund statements, for example, you wouldn't see fixed assets, you wouldn't see your debt, right? Because that's just the way the statements work. But on these statements, which on page 17 is one of the government-wide financial statements, we then add back what the fixed assets would be, compute what depreciation would be, and we also include the debt and any liabilities associated that would not be included within a fund statement. Okay? Again, I'm trying not to speak like an accountant. Where I would ask you to focus is go to the bottom. There's a bottom line of that page that says total net position. And the best part about that is that it's a positive number. That's good, right? But as a board member, I would ask, well, why do I have a negative number before I get to the positive number? And that's at $25,537,000. And if you're a board member last year, and for whatever reason you remember what last year's audit report said, but last year that number was a positive number. That number was a $15 million positive number. And so the obvious question becomes, how did I go from a positive number to a negative number in that particular category? And hence we get into the implementation of the new accounting standard. Okay? And so what the accounting gurus thought of was the districts throughout the state of Texas pay into what's called TRS Care, right? And TRS Care is a health care system that's available to you all's retired employees. Okay? And TRS Care is managed by the legislation body, and the amounts a school district and entities pay into TRS Care is legislatively mandated. So even though TRS Care has a governing board, they don't decide how much school districts pay into that particular system. And like a lot of large managed care areas, it has been underfunded. And it has been underfunded significantly. And so what the accounting expert said is, look, what we need to do is, in order to show a realistic picture with regard to these statements, a realistic picture of each school district's liability, they set a standard that said the unfunded portion by the state needs to be pro rata allocated to each particular district. So every district throughout the state of Texas is having to record their pro rata share of the liability associated with the unfunded TRS Care at the state level. So, for example, at my school, when we saw the financial statements, we had the exact same thing. But there's other school districts, and this is not pertaining to you, but just as information, that number was so big that it turned that total bottom number to a negative. So I was asked, well, is there anything that you as a board can implement, policy, direction, vision, on how to change that number? And there's not. Because that number is being determined by factors and people that are outside of your control. And so, in my mind, that's why you have the $25 million negative now, because we had to come in and record your pro rata share of the entire liability related to TRS Care.
And just, I guess, just for, is that because our district is in TRS? I mean, that's not just for our retirees, but I mean our entire. It is. Is that affected by it or not?
Yeah, your retired employees, teachers, as they're in lieu of Medicare. I hope I'm getting this right. They participate in TRS Care.
Right, but our health care program.
Okay, that's different.
Okay,
yes.
so there's not.
This has nothing to do with your normal health care that you provide to existing
That's what
teachers.
I was trying to get at. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And so now, for example, on page 17, you'll see, I'll go to control code 2545, and you'll see a number, 24,474,000. And then further on down, you'll see under control code 2606, 10,237,000. That's the liability that was created because of the implementation of the new standard for which, unfortunately, you have no control. Okay? Now, that is, with respect to that negative number, that is the most significant impact. That's the most significant impact in that number. But there were two other things, okay, and they relate to errors that we found. Okay, one is, for example, and this has led to a management letter comment in the back, that with respect to y'all's fixed assets, you don't really have a fixed asset system. It's on Excel. And when we went through it, we found errors in the Excel. Some of the math didn't work. Some of the sign lines wouldn't work. So that created an additional $2 million worth of depreciation. Okay? There was another one. The school is liable for sick days to its employees. It's called compensated absences, to the tune of about $2 million. The value of all sick days today, if you had to pay that out. And that liability, for whatever reason, was not recorded either. And so as it pertains to this particular statement, there were the three things. The most significant part relates to the GASB 75, but there was two other things, the compensated absences and depreciation expense that also had to be recorded. I'm trying not to sound like an accountant.
So basically this 3,900, it's out of our hands. That's just something that the state regulates, and there's nothing we can do about it.
There's the vast majority of what's driving that, you can't do anything about it.
I guess what I'm trying to get at, so in lieu of comp time, we pay overtime?
No, this is sick time. This is sick days.
Sick days. So
yeah, so it's, and this is not a judgment as whether you should or shouldn't at all. I mean, schools have sick days, right? They can pay time off. As it pertains to this statement, all this pertains to, hey, is a liability associated with the value of those sick days recorded at this statement level? And it was not. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to jump to what I hope is more familiar to y'all. That is, jump to page 20. That is your fund. And so, my experience has always been, I always want to know what my unassigned fund balance was at any particular year. And so I want to describe that to you on page 20. You'll see the line says unassigned fund balance, and your unassigned fund balance is $11,211,711. Okay? Well, but then how does that compare to last year? Right? Well, that's just a number. Last year, your unassigned fund balance was $12.7 million. Okay? And I think it shouldn't be a surprise because I'm sure you all keep track of attendance and kids leaving, should I say. And I think you all are down over 100 students like a lot of public school systems are. Mm-hmm. And so you're seeing that the revenue starting to track, and you still got a lot of fixed costs associated with the system. And so if you turn to page 22,
very important to keep those numbers up.
So this is your statement of revenues and expenditures and changes of fund balance and spending time and just focusing on the general fund. So you'll see towards the bottom, you'll see a net change in fund balance, which is a decrease. In other words, expenditures exceeded revenues by $3.7 million, thus driving your fund balance down. Now,
is that outstanding? Is that outstanding debt or
no? That's the fund balance that's what you have available resources in order to maintain the viability of the district. So the more fund balance you got, that's a good thing. The less fund balance you got, things should be better. Okay. And so, for example, we had an opportunity to have an exit conference with the superintendent last week, and one of the things that we talked to Mr. Cavazos was, hey, I found it to be a best practice that boards set targets for fund balance, and most targets are set either as a percentage of expenditures or as number of days outstanding. And so the theory is, well, if the school district had stopped functioning today, how many days could it live off its own money, right? And so I've seen the fund balances, a policy set at 90, It's a judgment call. I would say maybe no less than 60 days. I did a quick computation today. I believe you're sitting at 70 some days. So you're not, totally out of the ballpark, so to speak. But, it may make some sense as you're starting to see that trend with students. Hopefully you'll get that trend to flatline out, and hopefully work with some of the costs within the district, that you set a goal for yourself. We cannot have it any less than X, and what that X is for you all to decide. What I described was just what some of the examples I've seen, because that sets a parameter of, hey, we really don't want to be below X. Okay. That's all that I wanted to speak to with respect just to overview of the numbers. Okay, unless y'all wanted to.
My question would be, the numbers, that's what y'all came in to do for. In a nutshell, what is the clean record, your opinion over here was the clean opinion.
Right.
So that would say your audit had the findings have all been clarified and fixed and everything already?
Right. So I don't
know if it was done or not.
Yeah. So an auditor's opinion is to determine whether is with respect to the fairness of the presentation of the finance statements, right? In its totality. The findings, and I'm going to get into the findings now.
Okay, I thought you were done already.
No.
Wrap it up.
No, I'm the numbers. I just want to make sure you know.
They were good or bad.
So in terms of good or bad, for example, if you were asking me, are my financial statements good or bad? Well, I would say it's almost like beauty. It's like in the eye of the beholder. What I can tell you is that what you're basing your judgment on is fairly stated. The foundation
are the numbers.
The numbers are the numbers. Whether you got one person that says, "Oh no, your fund balance has got to be over 120 days." Well, back before they started making cuts with public education, that used to be a goal, right? But that's not where we live today, right? You have challenges with respect to competition, right, from other public schools as well as charter schools, and of course you have the funding issues that have affected public education over the past 2 sessions. Okay, now I'm going to jump over the findings. So, and I'm going to go straight to page 91.
91?
Yes. I'm going to make a couple of broad statements, and I will leave it up to you as to how much detail you all want to cover today. Okay? One acknowledging that we did have findings. Okay? And in addition to the findings that are included in the back of this report, beginning on page 91, then there's that other letter, that other 2-page letter. Those are, I wouldn't call them findings per se. Those are things that maybe are at a much lower level, but we just felt that, hey, maybe you all should know about this. For example, one of the comments in that 2-page letter refers to making sure you have a documented backup recovery plan for y'all's IT area. Okay, something important, but I wouldn't call it a finding at this bound report level. Okay, and so in these particular findings, I believe there are 6 of them. There are 6 findings. Of the 6 findings, and this is probably the most important part, 3 appear to be material weaknesses. So what's the significance of that? A material weakness is probably the 3 categories that we can classify a finding. That's probably I don't want to use the worst, but certainly as a ranking, that's not where you want to be. Okay, and the other 2, and the remaining items are what we consider to be significant deficiencies. So you have material weaknesses where you don't want to be, and then one below that would be significant deficiencies. So you have 3 material weaknesses, and the rest would be significant deficiencies. Okay? Again, I'll leave it up to you whether you want me to speak to any particular one, but I will say this. I will say that we've met with Mr. Cavazos. Their responses with respect to the findings and how they plan to address them are also included in the pages following page 91. Okay? I do think, after speaking with them, that they will get them addressed, because, as I mentioned to Mr. Cavazos, what you don't want is repeat findings, right? It's what we acknowledge. We're not perfect. Some people have findings. It happens.
Yes.
But it is what's more important is how you address them and how quickly you address them. Okay? And rather than get into the detail of any particular finding, I'd rather you all focus on that aspect.
And you're satisfied with the response that you've received?
Yeah, so exactly, we are, but acknowledge that the response are merely words.
Right.
It is the actions following those words that are really going to make the difference. Okay? And in case, if anybody's wondering, with those findings, we do not have question costs. So if there's a question out there, there are no question costs associated with those findings.
How many total findings were there?
6. I believe there's 6.
Oh, you said that.
Yeah.
And each one already has its action plan as far as how they're going to address it.
Correct.
What needs to be done.
Correct.
Did you feel comfortable with the responses?
Yeah, I mean,
the plans, they seem to be, how would I say, not just words.
Yeah, they seem to be reasonable responses. It was what I would expect. But at the end of the day, it is the action that's more meaningful.
Is there a timeline to get this done?
Yeah. So in their responses, and their responses start on page 99, by the way.
Okay.
The standards require that they put a timeline in there.
Okay.
So
of those 6 findings, how many are repeat findings?
One. Yeah, I believe one of them was.
What pages?
002 and 004, I believe. Or 004.
002 and 004?
Let me see. 004 and 006, I'm sorry. The excess expenditures over appropriations and semi-annual certification. 004 and 006.
Yeah, it's 4 and 6.
Two and 6?
4 and 6.
4 and 6.
4 and 6. 4 and 6.
Okay. So again, I think the important part of all this is letting you know what's there, and again, the follow-up. What's how quickly and how effectively can you implement the changes that are necessary?
So once they're done and they follow through with these 6 findings, do they come back and give them to you?
Yeah. So
to reassure that they were done, and then you come back and tell us that they were already completed.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is unfortunately creates more work. We have to go back this coming year and make a reasonable determination as to whether those findings have been addressed. If we see them again, we'll just keep putting them on there until they get resolved.
Can we have a workshop?
Yeah, I was about to say, can we call for a workshop?
Can we call for a workshop when that's done?
Definitely, we'll put one together. I wish we could have put it in with the Saturdays also, but I know we got some more stuff taken care of. But all right.
Okay.
Do you have more to present, or
no? I was are you all interested in what your first rating may look like?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What's last year you all had material weaknesses, right? And I'm applying the first rating criteria that you all had last year, which I believe is going to be the last year that it applies, because they're supposed to come up with a much more comprehensive first rating next year. And as you all are familiar, it's a 100-point system. You get so many points by depending on how you respond to a particular question, right? Last year you all had a score of 86. So 86 meant that you all were above standard with respect to your financials. Unfortunately, there's one indicator for which you got 0 points last year, and you will continue to get 0 points this year. And that is the fact that a material weakness exists. And so you're already starting with 90. You're not even starting at 100. You're starting at 90. So
sorry, what exists?
Okay.
What exists? Material weakness.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Which are the items, the 3 items that we discussed earlier. Okay? And so, yeah, so one of the questions was yeah, so one of the questions on the first is, did the auditor have, did the auditor's report contain any material weaknesses within the report? If you put yes, then you get 0.
So you're 90.
So you're at 90. So your hope
Best case scenario
is that you're perfect in every single criteria. And there's some criteria items that somebody still has to massage the numbers, right? There's some computations that still need to be done that are outside of the scope of the audit. So, I'm hopeful, but unfortunately, I just want to let you know, you're not starting at 100, you're starting at 90. And so that, in terms of being able to get the superior, right?
Mr. Longoria, now with you coming in and doing the audit and finding the findings, and we come up with an action plan, we get them done, you would get, and let's say they all got done and with no other problems, next year there'd be a better chance to get an A. Correct?
Oh, yeah. Again, they're not saying you can't have comments.
But so then this is for last year's.
This is for the 17-18 year.
Okay, 17-18. Yeah.
Right, and so next year.
Well, we start off with the 0 there, or do
we have material weaknesses? We give them 0.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah, for purposes of 17-18, you're getting 0 for that. You get the points.
Okay.
Okay. Now I say that. I also mentioned that it's going to be much more comprehensive.
The system will change.
Yeah. So right now, if you have material weaknesses and something below that what's considered a significant deficiency, under this criteria, you can have a significant deficiency and still get all the points. But in the more comprehensive criteria may include, and I say may because I don't know, may include a question that says, well, do you have significant deficiencies? Okay. I don't know that yet.
Well, this is your first year, right?
First year for auditing your school district, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Longoria, I want to thank you for coming over and giving your presentation to our board and filling us in with our audit and our findings. And hopefully we get all these prepared, and we really want that A and make sure we get that done. I know with you all and with our business office, we'll be able to get that done.
Yeah, well, and I want to appreciate, again, you all giving us the opportunity to work with you. I hope we all saw some value in what we bring to the table. And again, I want to thank you all staff, because there's a lot of work that goes into an audit. People don't realize it sometimes. And certainly I want to thank you all staff for allowing us to be part of it.
Thank you. I appreciate your work.
Thank you, too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rivera.
Sure. Okay, moving on to Superintendent Report, Student Enrollment.
Yes, Mr. President, in your packet, your folder, there is a report for day 90 of the school year, right in the middle of the school year. That's January the 22nd. Yesterday, we were down 161. We do have our staff going out and working every day. They're going out home to home, going out to different areas, different neighborhoods, trying to recruit students, trying to find students. And I've talked to principals. They can attest to this. I've talked to principals as frequently as I can, reminding them of the importance of making sure that our attendance is as high as possible. I keep telling them that we're dealing with two issues. One is enrollment, the other one's attendance. And so we can increase the students that come to school, but if they're not, or that are enrolled in school, but if they're not coming to school every day, then we're not really getting ahead. So I'm trying to explain to the principals that it's really important that we enroll more students or try to keep our enrollment high, but we also have to work on attendance and keeping our attendance high. So I want to thank their staff, and I mentioned it before. I've had a chance to meet with the community aides and with the principals, and I have to tell you honestly, I've heard them speak, and I need to tell everybody that they are tremendously passionate about the work that they do. They, just like us, they work very hard every day, and they take it personally when students leave our district and go to another campus or another charter school, shall I say. But they do dedicate a lot of time and place a lot of attention on trying to find a way to encourage our kids to stay enrolled in Ed-Cal-Chelsea ISD. So I want to thank the principals, and principals, thank your staff, because I know I hear it every day. They do a tremendous amount of work, and they're very dedicated. Okay, thank you very much.
We're almost at a plus 20 from last month to this month, correct? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, last month was 179.
Right. Yeah, we've gone down to 161.
So
I will tell you, just real quickly on attendance, we've opened up our pre-K3 program this year.
Okay.
Fortunately, we're probably at about how many over right now? Where's Norma? Sorry, Norma. Oh, she stepped out. I think we're at about 5 or 6 students over. We were projecting 44, and we're at about 48 or 49. And we have a waiting list, actually, of students for a pre-K3 program.
Good.
And so I've been talking to Mr. Gonzalez about possibly hiring an additional teacher. We're just trying to get to where we're at about 15, 16, and we'll hire another teacher and bring them in. But I do want to say, you know, for me, it's kind of, and for the staff, it's a balancing act. When you open a pre-K3 program, it's a program that's available to those students that qualify, eligible only. You know, we were very worried that we would have a lot of parents and a lot of kids coming in, so we're trying to meter that so that we you know, don't overload that campus too quickly. But that's just one initiative that we started in January. It's going very well. I want to thank Mrs. Hernandez and her staff. And then the other one that you're going to see or hear about next month is the charter program. We are working on that application and that form that Mr. Castillo, our attorney, helped us put that together. That program will open up the district to daycare centers. And so we'll be able to hire some teachers to go out to the daycare centers. And right now we have 7. We have 7 MOUs that we've already worked with the daycare center. We're looking at trying to get another 2 or 3 in. So we're looking anywhere between 8 to 10 centers in this area where we'll have teachers serving those kids that are 3-year-olds. And so that'll be a good way for us to, you know, work with the parents closely and get those parents, you know, encouraged, you know, and motivated to enroll their students in Ed Cal Chelsea when they come out of daycare. So that'll be happening in February, and then hopefully right after we approve that charter, once we get that done, then we can start hiring some teachers for that.
Subchapter C charter, not subchapter D.
Mr. Cavazos, I'm looking at the numbers that are to the far right, and I'm looking at the you know, the quantities for SG Elementary, and we've got JFK. You know, they're substantially high. And my question is, I know that we have our districts or different areas where they populate our campuses, but is there anything that maybe we can do to promote, maybe go out to the colonias and promote some type of, because I feel that they're kind of hitting us in a certain spot here. They're picking certain students from a certain area, and I just feel that, yes, they might be in the outskirts of our community, but if we can have something that is a little bit more active in that area where we're going to present what we as an entity for Ed Cal Chelsea can provide for our community. I just feel that if we just kind of home in to our inner city and forget about what our outskirts to our cities, because I just feel that, you know, the -46 for Santiago Garcia, we have -31 for JFK, but then you look at RCR, you look at LBJ, you know, these are also elementaries just like those other two. We need to make sure we look and see. I know that you guys have a way to see if there is a particular neighborhood that was hit the most as to students being pulled out, because I know they're very aggressive when it comes to you know, recruiting our students. But what have we done to try to promote our campus in that area? Maybe you know, Christmas would have been an awesome time to where we could go do a little gift giveaway in that area to show that we really want their support. We want them to come back. So maybe our bus drivers, you know, anybody can go out there and speak to that area. But I would like to pinpoint these -46 and -31 and find out if we can kind of coordinate what was one of the biggest areas. And I know Santiago Garcia would be better to be able to say, you know, these students, the majority of them came from, and you guys have bus routes, you guys have areas. Was it a certain bus route that was hit the most? You know, if we don't educate our parents, you know, they don't know any better. They're going to fall for, we're better than them, and we don't want that. So anything we can do, we need to just not be centered into our inner city. We want to make sure we get out there, do some type of function where we get the community involved, get them to understand that, hey, we care about you guys. We want you back. So that way, next year, we don't get a bigger hit. because I just feel that having a second, grade opening up into our competition, they're going to go and get those communities, and then they're inching in. So I want to make sure we put a stop to it, or at least try to fight back on that. So
the big demo, because I've seen them doing the big demo is 10-15, mile 12, mile 12 and a half. Let's go to the
south side.
They've been hitting that area.
Southern border, right. The southern border for our district.
So that's a real.
Maybe we can put a post out there to where we go out there and if we need to take our mariachis to go and play in that area. Something to promote what we have here in our district.
Yeah. Did you bring
we
up
have visitors that come in, and they always commend us onto the talents that we have. Have we done it to these areas to where we're going to make sure we emphasize? It's just that it's a big. You can see it. It's huge. That dent that is given, and I don't think it's the fault of our campus. It's just the fault that we need to make sure we expose ourselves out there. Make sure that our parents firsthand know that, hey, we have more to offer. We need to make sure we sell our district over there. So let's focus on that, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Also tell you, one of the things that I could probably share with everybody is that the ladies that have been going out and making the home visits, I've asked them to keep a log and to make notes. And so we've been kind of prioritizing the comments so that we understand exactly what it is the parents are asking for. And we've talked about that with the principals so that we can address that. So we're working on that.
Thank you, Mr. Cavazos, and thank you, Chris. Okay, can we move on to consent agenda items, or you got more to cover? Okay, we're moving on to consent agenda items.
We have the superintendent's report. The other items. I do need to make a presentation on early college high school.
Okay, that was student enrollment. All right, you have the SEL program.
Yes, just as an update, just so you know, we did move our SEL students over to Ibarra. That transition's already taking place. We have, I think, Mr. Gutierrez, what was it? Last count I had was 36 students, more or less, at Ibarra. So we opened up the west building to those students, and they're occupying that building right now. It's a nice facility, have it going pretty well. And then hopefully we can give you an update on the status of the SEL program, find out where we're at with that. Okay.
Baseball field lighting project?
Yes, sir. Just so everybody knows, we have brand new baseball field lights that were installed on our baseball field, state-of-the-art LED lights. They've already been turned on, been working since late last week. They tested them on Monday, made some adjustments. The last thing we need to do, and just so you all know, it's not that we haven't been trying, but we're trying very hard to take the old poles out. Those poles are about 20 feet in the ground. The crane they brought in wasn't big enough to pull those poles out. And so they were supposed to start, I think Mr. Navarro, Coach Navarro was working with them. They were supposed to start today with a larger crane.
Well, so Musco was going to do that themselves, right?
Yeah, we're hoping that we'll have the poles out by Friday. But the lighting is good. It's already been adjusted. Looks really, really nice. So we'll have
and
it.
The reason we're getting new lighting is because the previous lighting was subpar, and we were getting into issues with UIL. Right. And some schools didn't even want to play here because of
the lighting was in bad.
And also, the Umpires Association didn't want to come.
Yeah, they were arguing about that, but that lighting right now, if you all have a chance to look at it, has state-of-the-art technology, has upward-facing lights, to help highlight the ball when the fly balls are going to outfield. It's really, really nice. Those lights are going to do a great job. We just need to work on getting the old poles out of the ground. So that's what we're working on.
Great.
Okay. Next item, sir.
Early college high school update.
I've asked Mrs. Mary Garza and Mr. Gutierrez's staff, the counselors, and some of the assistants are here. They're going to do a brief presentation on early college high school. As part of the certification process for early college high school is that they do have to present to the board. And so Mrs. Garza wanted to do that presentation today. Thank you.
Yes, hello, Mr. Cavazos, members of the school board. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present to you an update and just kind of go over some of the early college program highlights, and so that you know exactly what it is that we're doing at the early college campus. And before I begin, I do want to thank Cindy Briseño, one of our early college counselors that's here with me today. Vanessa Guerra had to leave, but I do thank them for being here tonight. First of all, the purpose for our early college campus and our mission is to prepare a community of ambitious learners. Our goal is academic success. We want to continue to engage our students in rigorous instruction by supportive and caring educators. And also, our focus is in preparing our students for post-secondary education, along with our partners, South Texas College, with an emphasis on science, technology, and engineering. So that's our mission. Our demographics at the early college campus, first of all, this is our 5th year. Last year we were able to graduate our first cohort, and this is year 5. We've met all state accountability standards. We have a total of 465 students between 9th and 12th grade. We have approximately 125 per grade level. We have about approximately 24 teachers there at the South Building. Our students go with those teachers or are taught by those teachers, and they also have other teachers in the CAPE program for electives. I am overseeing the early college campus, and we have our 2 counselors as well. The students that we service economically disadvantaged students, our ELLs, our at-risk population, and also we do have our special education students. And so starting this year, I included in your folder a blueprint, which are guidelines that early college high schools have to abide by. I'm not going to go over that packet, but it's yours to review. And so starting this year with our new incoming 9th grade cohort, those guidelines, they will be evaluating our early college based on those guidelines that you have there in that blueprint. And so I had to be very careful on how we were able to bring in students into the early college high school, because it indicates there that depending on the number of, let's say, at-risk students that you have in the district, we have to be comparable to that population at the early college high school as well. So if we have 60% at-risk students here in the district, then my population at early college has to be no less than 15 percentage points. So anywhere between 45 to 60% at-risk students coming into the early college high school. I guess it caught on that early college high schools were recruiting the top or the cream of the crop kids, so now they've set guidelines. If we don't follow the blueprint that's indicated there, then we can become an early college in need of improvement, which we're not going to go there, right? So we're very careful on how we recruit. So starting with this 9th grade group of students, we're really monitoring and making sure that we meet all of those guidelines. So we have Hispanic students, we shouldn't have any problems meeting that guideline. Economically disadvantaged and male students, the most important one is the at-risk. And of course, there are other guidelines which have to do with how many students are taking college courses, and we'll get into that. So the purpose of early college is to make college accessible to our students early, okay? It's an opportunity for students to obtain a 2-year transferable college degree while they're still in high school at no cost to our students and our families. So the program is a model that is adopted, and it's highlighted in the Texas Education Code, Chapter 29, and it indicates all of these guidelines, and so these are the guidelines that we have to abide by. Students can earn up to 60 college credit hours while they're still in high school. That's dual credit. So students can also earn an interdisciplinary associate's degree, which is 62 hours of college credit. If they do not pursue an associate's, maybe they don't want to pursue the associate's, they can work towards the core curriculum, which are 42 hours by the time they graduate the early college. Of course, the goal is the associates. All credits transfer to Texas public 4-year universities in the state of Texas, and then, of course, other institutes of higher education, and that's also indicated in our Education Code, Chapter 61. Students receive rigorous instruction, accelerated courses at the early college campus. We increase college readiness and reduce those barriers for our students to be able to start taking college courses early on. Our students have access to our campus resources. Also, STC has a lot of programs that are available to our students. They receive academic support, including college advisement. We have STC coming in almost every other week. Our counselors also advise our students. We have our Go Center where they receive career counseling as well. Our students also have access to advanced academic classes such as pre-AP classes at the early college campus, AP, our UT on-ramps, where they also can earn college credit. Here we have our EOC state assessment data. This is just based on last year and the year prior, and so our students have been consistent in meeting those state standards on STAR. And we hope to continue that. So here we have our TSI data. In order for our students to begin taking college courses, they have to be TSI ready. They have to pass their reading and their writing TSI, and that's an online assessment. And so we have, this is as of December 2018, we had 459 students that tested, 332 that were TSI ready in reading for 73%. There you see in writing and in math. That's one area where we're lacking, and a lot of our students, it says 3 grade levels only because last year we were not testing our 9th grade on the math TSI. Why? Because they need to have taken an Algebra 2 course, and they take that later in their junior year, and so they're not ready. So we're working on improving that, because if you see the blueprint, it now says that these 9th graders that are starting this year, by the time they reach their junior year, they need to have already taken a college level class, not an Algebra 2. So which means that we're going to have to work really hard in accelerating our students to be ready to have taken Algebra 2 early on, pass the TSI, and take a college level math class by the time they complete their junior year. Okay?
Ms. Garza,
yes.
So right now we have 8th graders who are taking Algebra 1. Now, have we passed on this at-risk percentage to them, that they need to make sure also that not only get the cream of the crop to be in the Algebra 1, so that way that helps you as they go into being a freshman, they're taking Algebra 2, and they're already taking their college courses by the time they're sophomores.
Yes.
Would that be beneficial, and is that something that you've already taken into account?
Okay. So those students, because they're in the early 8th grade program, doesn't necessarily mean that they're automatically going to go into the early college campus. They'll still have to fill out the application. And when we accepted these students, we accepted the first 50 students that applied. Because we weren't getting so many students, we were initially going to go with 100. The applications were slow to come in, so we capped it at 50. And then we didn't have the 50, we went back and recruited, and then we met those 50. So we have a group of 50 students that are there. So they're really, we didn't have a set criteria. We wanted to pilot this program to see how it was going to benefit our students. But yes, those students are taking Algebra 1 right now. So that's a conversation that we've been having at the high school to ensure that when they come to us, we need to get them into those algebra. They're going to go into geometry. But we need to make sure that they're passing their Algebra 1 as well. Okay, because some of those students that we do have in that program, some of them were not successful in their 7th grade math. It was just they applied, they wanted to be in it. We're accelerating instruction, but it may be that they need summer school. And so that's why we're not automatically going to accept those students. Okay, those still have to apply. But we're still having that conversation. We need to, I think, be real specific on, for next year, if we continue that program, what type of student we're looking for, and then maybe do a pre-assessment. Okay, so here we have our dual enrollment numbers. I have 2017, spring 2018, and then fall as of December. And so you see that our numbers have been increasing. We've really been promoting our dual program in the last couple of semesters. And so you see from 163 to 207, and then 233. I'm really excited. We worked really hard because our freshmen that are coming in, they cannot start taking college classes yet. They have to pass the TSI. So we have been working really hard to get them ready to pass and start college classes January. They started, as a matter of fact, today. So we, out of 125, we were able to get about maybe 70 students that started college classes already. And the others, we're working with them, preparing them, TSI prep, and then we're going to test them. Our goal is that by May, they finish or they pass their TSI. That way, in the summer, they can start taking college classes.
That's awesome.
Okay?
Ms. Cruz, the drop in success rate, it goes 98, 98, and then it takes a dip to 94.
Yeah. So what that means is, what I did is I looked at their grades. How are they doing passing those STC classes? And so maybe in the fall, I had 7 students that got Fs, and that happens. We have for the most part, we have really good communication with our STC professors that come to the campus. They will email Ms. Briseño, Ms. Guerra, myself, and they'll say, this student's not coming to class, this student's not turning assignments, can you speak to them? So right away, we bring them in, I speak to them, I call their parents, because the professors, the teachers cannot, the parents cannot speak to the professors, so they tell us, and then we call the parents.
So success is a passing grade?
Yes.
A 70 and above?
Yes. Okay, so for the most part, I mean, they're doing well, but we do have those students. We also have those students that just drop classes because of athletics, right? They don't want to miss 9th period, or they want to be at practice early. And so we're constantly having those conversations with the kids and trying to compete with that. And so we have a total number of classes taken. In the fall, we had 233 students. They took a total of 520 classes. Total hours, so you see there that our students are really, we've really been pushing our dual program.
Question, well, how will a failing grade affect their financial aid when they enroll in college?
It does go in their transcript, right, Cindy? So it will affect, it'll be in their transcript for GPA.
It goes with it. Yeah, it's like your, yeah, it's your GPA.
It is their transcript. What's that?
Some of the
GPAs don't transfer out. The GPA part doesn't, but of course your grades do.
Your grades transfer.
It's their, yeah, and so we have, this year we are piloting a college success class for all the 9th grade students that came in at the early college campus. So what we're doing is Mr. Larry Salazar, he had all the 9th grade students the fall semester, and he talked to them about transcripts, grades, how serious this is, plagiarizing, note-taking, TSI prep. And so the goal was that by January they're ready to take dual classes and they'll go out of his class. And so he did address that to try to explain to the students how serious this is, because they are college STC students already.
So they're keeping an eye on those at-risk students.
Yeah.
Mary, I've got a question. I know that, and maybe Mr. Ibarra, and you remember this, we had a couple of years ago a conversation. What's the cost of this to the district?
I knew you were going to ask.
Because remember, we had that talk.
Yeah, because the cohort, the way we had budgeted, was going to outgrow the initial budget that we had set aside. Where are we with that?
Okay, so I knew you were going to ask that, so I did call Nick Gonzalez from STC, and I said, talk to me about the cost, because I don't always see those invoices. I know that they go through central office and all, but basically, through Ms. Garcia, yes. Yes, and so what he explained to me was...
So we're operating at a deficit right now?
We have to.
I don't have a budget, I don't know.
Well, we're not a money-making business.
See, that's,
The school allotment.
They just talked to us about that.
They charge us for, we have to pay the professor for coming out here, depending on how many classes they teach. We pay the professors. They don't charge us for the students taking the dual.
But we also pay for books for every grade level.
We purchase the textbooks, we provide the textbooks.
Because that was one of the biggest items. I think we were looking at, down the line, this was going to become a $500,000 hit to the district.
Well, that's the least we could do for the students. I mean, they're taking the initiative to go to college and take courses.
But there was some other concern. I mean, I agree that, you know, it's an initiative, but
the money's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not in the business of making money.
The state subsidizes part of that.
We're in a
dual
business
credit
of staying
program.
afloat. So,
well, make sure the students
pass. If they're not taking advantage.
Some school districts hire, or early colleges, they're only hiring teachers that have masters, and that's how they're...
that's how they offset some of the costs, because they're already employed within the
And we
district.
talked about that.
Yeah,
Remember, we talked about
that's the one, that one teacher that left with the masters.
Could we, for next meeting,
What's that?
could we, for the next meeting, have a breakdown cost analysis where we add what this is and what the projections are for the next year or two if we continue at this
And the average grades of the students taking those classes, maybe if you could just find a medium just to, I mean, if they're all getting C's, are we really doing, you know, maybe there's a maturity factor there that we need to.
There's got to be something we got to analyze.
They do very well.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So.
Just like a parent, when they see their son or daughter is not doing, hey, this is costing me what?
Yeah. So we tell the students, look, you want to drop this class, but we could have given this class to another student. Things like that.
Huh? Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree 100%.
Well, they call my name on the night just death. I'm like, no. So getting them to understand to be responsible, for them to make arrangements for their teacher, their professor, like, hey, I'm going to be out, can I come just take it? A lot of professors will work with them, but many don't communicate, they just don't go. And those where we get the failures or the low grades. But because it's them who are not.
So are we doing enough prep work before they're admitted into the early college? I mean, should they be taking, seminars and let them know that, you know, a failing grade is going to affect you later on.
Yeah.
I mean, this is.
So those are things that we're addressing in our 9th grade.
Or make it mandatory for all the freshmen to be in there.
Yeah, because you just
but
mentioned
is it just one time that they go, or is it?
They go
I mean, we
the
just
fall.
need to be hammering at home all the time.
They go the entire fall
Let's not forget the. You know,
Based on the enrollment, though, I would venture to say, I mean, that's a pretty good number.
The numbers
I mean,
have gone up. It looks really good.
Rate is,
Yeah.
I mean, I would venture to say, I don't know
And the
what
numbers
other
are-
districts have it at, but I would venture to say it's a pretty decent number.
Yeah,
But 98 is better.
But it was
All right,
94,
of course.
and then it went to 98.
No.
So it was at 98 and it went down.
No, 98, 94, 98.
Let's go back. There you go.
Okay, 97.
No, but that's the total. That's the
I
average.
did the average, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see it.
It's like 7 Fs
I've had a long
in
day.
the entire
I wanna know.
group, or
But that
8
scares
or
me
9.
because that if, you know, they continue, they're going to go into college with
They'll have to
black eye already.
They'll have to retake the class and try to get a better grade so that it can improve
Yes,
their
sir.
I
GPA.
know that they follow the same schedule, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. When students don't really comprehend the subject, do we have tutors? Like, do they have, you know, when we go to Pan Am or
For the college
I'm
classes?
talking about my time. When we went
Back in the
college, if you had a course that you were having trouble with, there was always tutoring available for. Do we have anything like that here within the district where I know that we have these professors come in, but once they finish with their class,
Yeah.
do they
Some of them
leave?
do have office hours where they stay behind, let's say 30, 45 minutes after class, and the students, like, you know, some of the professors, they hang out all day and they're available if kids want to go in and.
And I'm just talking about that drop in if those students don't have any of the support that would be available in a true college setting, you know, are we looking at that? Have we make sure that that's not happening as to why our students are failing the classes? Because that might be all that we need is get clarification. Because
But I promise you, they're not failing. Like, it's
I'm just saying, a lot of times
the kids that have
accents from professors, you know, some more kids, I just don't understand him. But if they get a second person to come in during an off time when they have, and I know that our college students do have some.
They do have some, like, they're available at STC, but our kids can't
No,
go
I
over
know.
there.
I'm saying
So, yeah, here.
something within
Something that we can
house
offer.
here. I just don't know if that's going to be something more costly as far as.
If a child fails a semester, the next semester, he's still enrolled into this program.
Yeah.
Have we had any children or any kids that have basically failed 2 semesters in a row and?
When we have students that are failing, we bring in the parents. I call the parents. I speak to the parents. I bring in the student. Something that I'd like to put in writing and bring before the board is like something that says, look, a stipulation. You fail the semester, we skip out a semester, and then just because I want to make sure that they're taking this very seriously and that they're focused. Because we do have those kids that want to just, okay, I failed last semester, I got a D or a C and I want to take it again. You know, they just, where we could have given that class to somebody else.
But they can take it.
That's the hard
we need
part
to get it in
about the
writing.
failing grades, that you know, that ends up costing us even more because
they pay 2, 3, just
Yeah.
like a father
And
or
I've
mother.
had those conversations with parents, like, this is money that we're paying.
Mr. Board President, if I can make an observation, just really quick. I'm lucky to work in other school districts that have more established early colleges, and one of the issues that they're running into now, kind of piggybacking off of Mr. Ibarra's comments and Mr. Torres' comments, is that some of these kids don't understand the importance of passing and how it could affect them after they graduate. Because I think you have to have at least 2.5 GPA to qualify for financial aid, or how it affects them for their ability to get financial aid later, but also they may have to take remediation courses because they didn't get a high enough grade when they're in high school on their early college course. So a lot of those districts that are encountering that problem now, they're investing in a whole bunch of counseling to make sure that the kids understand that and also kind of keeping an eye on it.
Before they register for those classes.
So it might be something to consider. That could be a future issue.
You had a comment?
I'm sorry, I've been trying so hard to keep my mouth shut. There is something, former job, completion rate, that's what's factored in for financial aid. So if they're at a certain percentage, they won't be awarded. So if they've taken all these hours in high school, and by the time they do go to college and they failed all these classes.
Yeah, they don't realize that this goes with you. And that's my only thing is that they need to understand that.
When we were in school and we could take all these hours and change our majors and all that and take 5 years to finish, it's not like that anymore. They stop awarding them after so many hours.
And I wonder if kids understand that this is real. This is not, and I think as a district we have to be careful not to put a kid into that situation to where, you know what, this kid's going to struggle when he does go to college.
Right.
So maybe.
And we'll continue to.
Mandatory, we explain it to them. A lot of the parents, like myself, I'm like, it's not going to get financial aid. You know, she's not. So I could care less if this is going to affect her financial aid because, you know, we have a lot of people that are home. Your daughter's going to graduate with her associate as well. So, you know, they're taking advantage of it. She will graduate with her associate this year. My sophomore is on that same track, God willing. And that will assist. But what we want to push for is not the associate, again, the 42 core. Not the thing that you studied earlier. The 42
those transfer.
Those that core curriculum will follow them wherever they go in a public institution in the state of Texas. So let's just say they go to UT or it doesn't matter where they go. As long as they finish the 42 core, they're locked in. If they can't say that, you know what, you took sociology, but we wanted you to take Anthrop, no. 42 core, they're protected by Senate, and they will not have to retake any of those courses. So they're done. Like they're.
But as long as they pass those courses.
Well, of course, if they pass,
successfully completing it.
You'll be core complete once those 42 classes are done. So that is what we're pushing for, at least for a lot of our kids that are indecisive where they want to go. But at least to this day in a public institution in the state of Texas, that will assist them. Not to have to retake. The only time that they will make them take anything if their core is higher than a 42. This is a 48. We'll have to take additional. But other than that, they won't have to do any repeats or anything like that. So their 42 is their 42. You know, and the reason they did that was because the dual enrollment program was falling behind. A lot of kids like, nah, it's not going to transfer. So Texas came in, they passed the Senate bill, so now they're protected by that. So we're at least pushing for that 42.
I would just ask that if maybe we could look at the process, you know, and make sure we're protecting the kids, that we don't allow them to put themselves in a dangerous situation for their future.
That's the dilemma. It always has been, is that you have to first identify the students correctly. You don't want to just put any student into the program. You have to have a really strong evaluation program in place.
And once they're in, if they're not making it, maybe take them out for a semester or two.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah, so we need to get that in writing.
How many people started college and found out it wasn't for them?
Yeah.
And it's smart, you know, it just wasn't for them.
Yeah.
They had to take some time.
Yes, and so these are the associates that we offer through STC here at the Early College campus. Medical science, biology, engineering, computer science, criminal justice, business, and then the interdisciplinary. Most of our students go into the interdisciplinary studies associates, which again is the first, which is the basic 2 years. Okay. And then finally, the support that we offer our students at the high school, the Early College campus, after-school tutoring, Saturday academies. Again, they're in that college success class for all of these incoming 9th graders. We offer free TSI testing for our students, advisory period for our students during first period where they focus on those goal setting, academic advisement, TSI prep. We have child studies. I meet with the teachers, check student progress, TSI prep, pre-AP, AP, and those advanced courses, UT on-ramps. In the summer, we offer our students a summer bridge. Those students that are coming from Teruan, that will be our new 9th grade cohort. We have summer camps with them to go over those items, and we'll make sure that we really educate our students about GPAs, transcripts, for sure this summer, based on your feedback. Also, we have a STEM camp coming up for our 8th graders where they come to the early college campus, and we have our teachers do sessions pertaining to science and math. And we have FAFSA night. We have our Go Center that's also available for our students. And that's basically what I have.
Very good, Mary. Thank you very much.
Thank
Really
you so
appreciate that.
much.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to consent agenda items. If there's no question, we can entertain a motion.
So moved.
Wait, I'd like to see if we could pull item F to discuss it in executive and then bring it back.
Out of district travel?
Yes.
If you have a legal question on it, yeah?
I have a question on it.
Legal question?
Kind of.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right, we'll move on to item F, but we have a motion to approve all the other items.
Make a motion to approve all consent agenda items with the exception of letter F.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item 7, discussion action items. Discussion and action to approve payment of current bills, January 2019. We can have a motion and second, or entertain a motion. Move.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item B, approval of EISD financial report, January 2019.
So moved.
If there is no questions, we can have entertain a motion. We have a
Second.
motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Item C, discussion and action to approve financial audit reporting ending August 31st, 2018. That's the presentation we had earlier.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item D, request to approve payment for Ed Cloud Technologies LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lozano, second by Mr. Torres, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item E, discussion and first reading of TASB localized policy update 112, Mr. Cavazos and Castillo. Do you have details on this TASB policy?
Yes, the update is in your packet under item 7E. The vantage points given to us by TASB basically outline the fact that update 112 focuses on updating some of the legal policies that were affected by changes in administrative rule and Commissioner of Education rulings. Several of our local policies have been updated as well, and in your packet it goes through and it highlights which ones were modified and changed and that are being recommended for approval tonight.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item F, discussion of possible action to approve resolution in support of the Texas legislature, including additional money to support public schools and public school students, teachers, and employees.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we're going into closed session. The superintendent requests that the Board of Trustees convene a closed meeting as authorized by the provision of Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551074 and 551.071. The purpose of discussing personnel considering appointment, employment, resignation, retirement, evaluation, reassignment, duties, or discipline, or dismissal of public officer or employee. The time is 9:13. We are now in executive session. Hold on, we're not open.
Get ready.
Okay. We're now reconvening from executive session and discussion of possible actions regarding personnel. Okay, time is 10:12. Discussion of possible action regarding personnel considering appointment, employment, resignation, retirement, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee.
Mr. President, wanted to request from the board to approve the items as discussed in executive session, and included in that is a recommendation for the band director today. We're going to recommend Saul Regalado for band director.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Morales. Was he Chris? No. Oh, Mr. Barco. Second by Mr. Lozano. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item B, discussion and action regarding consultation with legal counsel regarding pending litigation, settlement offer, or matter in which duty attorney of Texas Independent School District under the Texas Superior Rules of Professional Conduct of State Bar of Texas Superior Conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code.
No action.
No action on item B. We got to go back to item F, which is approval of out-of-district travel. We get that
was tabled, right?
No, it's already. It's already done. So we go ahead and entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item F as discussed in executive. Correct? Is that right?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lozano, second by Mr. Torres. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, did we cover everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next item, adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Torres, second by Mr. Lozano. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The time is now 10:14 p.m. Meeting is now adjourned.